DreAllDay.com.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing your work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves anyone out there, me, you, whoever, everybody, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. We put all this together into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one show. This daily masterclass that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Today's topic is how to never get bullied. Now, this topic is also, while it is an evergreen topic, as is all my content, this one is also relatable to what's going on these days because of a specific situation that happened to me. So I had to tell you what happened. So I was on my Instagram story, which I am on damn near every day. Actually, I can say every day. On my Instagram story, and I was talking about some things with basketball and some things that I've been hearing in the media and people talking about this thing and that thing. And I happened to mention a basketball player, former basketball player by the name of Steven Jackson. Now, Steven Jackson played in the NBA for, I believe, 14 seasons. He's a pretty good player. I mean, some of you who don't watch basketball maybe never heard of Steven Jackson, but he was a pretty good player. He wasn't an all-star level guy, but he was a solid starter guy who could score a certain number of points. Pretty good player. I liked Steven Jackson as a player. He became very prominent in what happened with when George Floyd passed in Minneapolis because Steven Jackson and George Floyd were actually friends. He knew him. They knew each other from the Texas area where they had grown up together. They're around the same age and they actually kind of look alike. So anyway, Steven Jackson became very prominent in that arena. And when George Floyd passed away, Steven Jackson was the biggest voice amongst people who had large audiences or people who are already known when that happened. He was right up there in Minneapolis leading some of the meetings and saying things on the microphone and doing national interviews and things like that. And he was also a person who was very outspoken when he was saying that the NBA shouldn't come back and play games because it's not the time and people should be doing, he didn't say exactly what they should be doing instead of playing basketball. And I posited that I think a lot of NBA players, I don't think every NBA player agreed with Steven Jackson. And there are 450 players in the NBA. And I said on my Instagram story, I don't think every player agrees with Steven Jackson. Those who do agree had spoken up, but those who don't agree are not going to say anything because I said they're probably afraid of Steven Jackson. They're afraid of saying anything to this guy. And I went on to say that Mr. Jackson has a well-earned reputation. Y'all remember when Ron Artest ran into the stands in Detroit and started fighting fans? Well, the guy who ran in the stands behind him and started fighting fans right next to him was Steven Jackson. And now I'm not knocking him for it. I mean, given the situation of what was happening, he had to go and help his teammates. So the only two options he had was either pull his teammate out of the stands so that didn't keep going, or go in the stands and start socking people. He chose option 2, and he started doing it. It was entertaining to watch. I don't know how excited I would have been to have been one of those fans, but it was definitely entertaining to watch when he did it. And Steven Jackson has a well-earned reputation for being a guy who's willing to do what he needs to do, whether it be with his hands or speaking-wise. And when I went on to say, after I said that about Steven Jackson, I said, well, he's been making a lot of noise and doing a lot of barking on social media, but I haven't heard this man come forward with an actual plan or an actual strategy for what needs to happen in this whole thing that's going on. And you are grandstanding and saying NBA players shouldn't play. You've been out of the league for a few years, but you're not saying what the players would be doing if they weren't playing. What should they be doing if they're not going to be playing basketball? And that's what I openly said on Instagram. Now, being who I am as a person, if I'm going to go on the internet and say something about somebody, I'm going to make sure I put their name in it so that they have a chance to see it if they so choose, and they have a chance to respond if they want. Now, Steven Jackson has probably 100 times more followers than me on Instagram, so I wasn't thinking that he would even see it or give a damn even if he did. And this was Sunday morning. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. I expect most people to be asleep at this point. So when I'm posting, I'm not thinking I'm talking to anybody who's awake. I'm thinking you'll wake up and see it. But anyway, Steven Jackson, for whatever reason, he happened to be awake. Right? He happened to see it, and he sent me a direct message where he was not happy with what I said. And I'll fill you in on what got said in a moment. Now, as I said, I like Steven Jackson as a player. I enjoy his commentary in doses, but I also think that since this George Floyd situation occurred, he's become kind of an online bully. When Drew Brees made his statement about not wanting to kneel during the national anthem, Steven Jackson made a very impassioned and fiery statement about Drew Brees, even though Drew Brees is a football player and Steven Jackson was a basketball player. I don't think they even know each other. But Steven Jackson made a very clear statement about Drew when that happened. You can go look that up and find it. ESPN did a great job of amplifying it when it happened. And why ESPN gets involved in this stuff, I don't know. When they didn't fire her, but they basically ran Jamel Hill out of the company for talking about Donald Trump. But now when people talk racial and political things, ESPN is right in the mix. That's a different conversation for a different day. But when I heard him saying he should tell NBA players not to play games, this is Steven Jackson that is, when he personally wouldn't lose any money for NBA players missing games, to me that just didn't make sense to me. And I said, they're probably afraid of him. So Steven Jackson saw my message, or he saw my post on IG, and he replied and said, oh, well, everybody thinks they have the answers, being sarcastic. And he said, everybody wants the platform. Whatever platform he's referring to, I don't know. He probably doesn't know about the Work on Your Game show, but this is what he said. This sounds like a copy-paste message he sends to everybody. Then he says, hating ain't the way to get it. So he just accused me of hating. Then he said, you should get more accomplished. This is him talking to me. He tells me I should get more accomplished. He said, you're mad because nobody's listening to me and people are listening to him. That's what he said. He said, keep that same energy. That's what he said to me in his DM to me. Now, let's just parse this message. First of all, I don't think Steven Jackson has any idea who I am. I don't think he did any research on me. And this really sounds like being where he is right now and how prominent he has become in this process. I think this is a message that he probably sends to any person who he feels is, quote, hating, close quote, on him. And now I don't want to hear a 45-year-old man saying somebody's hating on him. But hey, everyone has the right to feel however they feel, right? And we've been talking about that. So I don't think this was really personal towards me personally. I don't think Steven Jackson knows who Dre Baldwin is, has never heard of Work on Your Game. I think he just had a moment to respond. Maybe it was the first message he saw in the day, so he decided to respond to it. But I did write Steven Jackson back, and let me tell you what I said to him. I said, this is not hate, Steve. I said, it's more of a question and observation than anything else. Next paragraph. You can check my track record of helping and uplifting the people. I put the people in quotation marks. And you compare it to yours, and you can compare it to yours any day you wish, if that's where you would like to take it. Either way, I hope you lead the people to the right destination. That's all I said back to Steven Jackson. Then I posted the next post in my Instagram story, because he responded to me while I was still on my stream of consciousness. And I said, well, Steven Jackson just proved my point to me with his direct message. He's obviously an emotionally driven guy who cannot think logically, and he cannot jive with someone. He cannot reconcile the fact that someone has an opinion that's different from his. So his only recourse is to say that they're hating, or to, what else did he say? He said they're hating, or what else did he say? Or to just get into the sarcasm or say, oh, you mad? Like, come on, dude. Like, you're not 16. You're 40-something years old. Grow up. That was basically what I ended up saying back to him. That was the end of it. He saw the messages, and that was it. That was the end of the whole exchange. Now, I'm telling you all of that to tell you how to deal with people who try to, or they imply that they may be able to or want to try to bully you in any way, shape, or form, whether that be online, whether that be in person, or any other way that somebody can get bullied. All right, we talked about Drew Brees already. I mentioned him a moment ago. Drew Brees, when he made that statement about not wanting to kneel during the national anthem, again, I'm not saying that I would have said the same thing myself. I talked to you a couple days ago about how I would have said it if I had the same opinion as Drew Brees. But Drew Brees got bullied. He got bullied by all of social media that day, all of ESPN. Every single person who works at ESPN who made a statement that day all said that Drew Brees was wrong for saying what he said. And that was kind of peculiar to me, because I said, there's no way ESPN, with all those people working there, all those on-air personalities, that every single one of them thought Drew Brees was wrong. It just seemed kind of peculiar to me. You ever see a group of people and they all had the same opinion on something, and it's like, it ain't no way all of you motherfuckers got the exact same opinion. But this is what happens when you get a mob mentality and they see that they have a chance to maybe bully somebody. Drew Brees got bullied off of his stance. He had a certain opinion. I do not think his opinion has changed, but he got bullied into apologizing and backtracking on that opinion. And we'll see, time will tell how that ends up going. But today's topic is how do you deal with anyone or anyone's as a group trying to bully you. Point number one, be respectful while still standing your ground. As I just explained to you what I did with dealing with Steven Jackson. I didn't stoop to his level, but I still stood my ground and let him know. Bullies, ladies and gentlemen, you know what they do? They mess with people who they know they can get away with it with, and they force their victims into submission. That's what bullies do. They look for people that they can mess with and get away with it and force into doing what the bully wants them to do, to submit. Often the bully just wants to feel important and feel strong and feel bigger. They don't actually want anything. They don't want your lunch money. They just want to feel strong, so they just use the lunch money as a way to do it. Or they use the forced apology, a la Drew Brees, as a way to get it. At the same time, bullies are usually primed for conflict because conflict is the comfort zone of the bully. They create conflict. They manufacture conflict because that's their comfort zone. Again, Steven Jackson. I didn't say anything negative about Steven Jackson. I said people were afraid of him. That he could have taken that as a compliment. I said he didn't have a plan, which he doesn't, and he still doesn't have a plan. But he took it as he responded to me in such a way that he was trying to invite conflict by making these critical statements, not even critical statements, but incendiary type of statements talking about you're hating. Like, what did I say that was hating? Hating is when somebody achieves something and you're trying to knock them for their achievement. But Steven, you didn't achieve anything. You've just been making a lot of noise and doing a lot of barking, which is exactly what I said about him. But then he said that I was hating on him. But again, some people get older, but they do not mature. But the whole point is they're primed for conflict because that's what they're comfortable with. So you should not come at a bully with negative energy. All you need to do is come at them by standing your ground. Again, negative energy and standing your ground are two different things. Negative energy is when you are going towards a person and you are trying to create the conflict. Standing your ground is when maybe somebody else is threatening that type of energy, but you stand your position and say, listen, I notice the energy that you're bringing, but this is my position. This is where I'm at. You can bring that energy if you want, but I'm not backing off my position just because you are threatening negative energy. You're not going to push me away from where I stand just because you came with that energy. That's what it means to stand your ground. You do not have to return fire with the negativity, but you also do not back away and run away from the bully when they start sowing negative energy, because that's what they want. That's what they feed off of. And that's their whole point of trying to bully you, is trying to push you off of your square with their energy. Don't get pushed off your square by the bully. Just stand your position and the bully will respect that. Usually, bullies back off when they see that you are not attacking them back because they don't know how to respond to you any other way. They don't have the tools to respond any other way but with that negative energy and with that conflict-based energy. So when you just stand your ground, you neutralize them because they don't know where to go. They don't know where to go next. They have no idea how to respond to that. So you are not attacking the bully back, but at the same time, you are holding your space and you're not getting pushed off your square. That's the number one thing you got to do anytime you have to deal with a bully, in person or online. Point number two, today's topic is how to never get bullied. Second thing you got to do is get your weight up. Now, get your weight up means being prepared to defend yourself just in case you need to. Now, again, this could be physically. Hopefully, it doesn't come to that. In the world that we live in now, the chances of you having to do that are becoming lesser and lesser because people are much more prone to getting their energy out through, just like Steven Jackson did, through direct messages and tweets and Facebook captions and things like that, than actually physically doing anything. And nowadays, everybody has phones and devices where they can record everything. So even if you do participate in that kind of energy, you might end up getting in trouble for it because there'll be a record of it. So be careful when it comes to having to do anything physically. Only if you're defending yourself. Don't start the fight, but if somebody starts it with you, you can finish it. That's called self-defense. It's called intelligence. When I say get your weight up, I mean you must be prepared to defend yourself in any way necessary. So some bullies, you can't reason with them. All right, some bullies will try to push you around if you allow yourself to be pushed. And if you're not willing to push them back or punch them in the face, then they're just going to keep pushing you around because they see that you're allowing them to do it. If you're afraid to push back on a bully, you become a victim. Drew Brees became a victim of social media bullying because he was afraid to push back. He was afraid to say, listen, that's how the fuck I feel. I'm not taking the knee during the anthem. I feel it's disrespectful of the flag, and that's my fucking opinion. And if you disagree with it, that's fine, but you're not gonna bully me off my position. I don't give a damn who disagrees. I don't care if you're on my team. I don't care if you say you used to have respect for me or whatever this shit people like to say on social media. This is my position. This is where I stand. If you disagree, you are free to disagree, but I'm free to have my opinion, and this is my fucking opinion. Now, could Drew Brees afford to say something like that in this climate at the time that he said it? I will say probably not, but had he said it, I would have damn sure respected it. I would have respected it a lot more than his backtracking and about face that he made less than 24 hours later. Because again, I don't think he really meant it. I think he did what he had to do because he saw all that heat that was on him, and he was starting to sweat. All right, he was losing electrolytes, all that heat that was on him at that time. When you're afraid to push back, you become a victim. And once you become a victim, you stay a victim. If a bully believes that you are both willing and able to punch the bully in the nose, they'll find a different person to attack. Let me say it again. When a bully believes that you are both willing and able to punch them in the face, they will find a different person to attack. If you go back, harken back to what I said in my direct message, I subtly informed Steven Jackson because I know what his angle is he's in a position of trying to help people and uplift and lead this cause and this movement for change, whatever he's calling it right now. And that's the position that he has gotten into, and that's why he is in the position to feel, oh, everybody wants the platform. Whatever the platform is he's referring to, I don't know what he's talking about, but fine. That's the way that he feels. That's his perspective, right? So I subtly let him know, okay, as far as what you're aiming to do right now, first of all, I've been doing it longer than you, and I've been doing it better than you. And if you want to compare what you do to what I do, it'll be a brief conversation because you don't have anything to offer. I let him know that in a subtle way, not even in so many words, but I let him know that I had the tools to fight back. And that when he came to me with the way that he came at me with his childish banter, I didn't go to the level that he was at, but I let him know that it also wasn't going to deter me from saying what I wanted to say. And I made that really clear. He didn't reply. Why? I'm going to guess, this is not a fact, that I can't read the man's mind. Why he didn't reply? I believe he realized that he was talking to someone who had the tools that to not be shouted down by somebody of his intellectual caliber. That's what I believe. Now again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was a different reason. Again, I can't read the man's mind, but this is the way that I see the situation. When you let a bully know that you're not going to be bullied off your spot and that you have the tools to defend yourself if the bully wants to take it further, usually that bully will go find an easier target, somebody that they can get away with that shit with, and there's not going to be as much blood, all right, not as much dust, if you understand what I'm saying. They don't have to, so they're going to mess with a victim with whom they don't have to get their hands dirty. All right, bullies are looking for easy victories. All right, if you show them there's not going to be an easy victory, they usually won't find out how hard it's going to be to go find one that's easier. Point number 3. Today's topic is how to never get bullied. Stay a level above the bully. Whatever level the bully is at, you stay a level above them. What do I mean by this? Again, in the direct message, Steven Jackson said something like, oh, well, you're hating, you need to get your weight up, you want the platform, nobody's listening to you. Again, I'm 99.9% sure he has no idea who I am, and he was just saying that to anybody who said anything that he didn't like. Which means that's probably his default reply to everyone who disagrees with him right now. I understand. If you got that many people saying your name or talking about you in a moment, maybe this is just the way that you have to respond because you ain't got no other tools. He's probably been using the same reply to people for years, probably even in his basketball days. And that's all fine with me. Again, these are just guesses that I'm making. If I happen to be wrong and that man happens to listen to this, then he can clarify for himself. Nobody else can speak for him though. I'm just going off of what I think his mentality is because I've met 300 Steven Jacksons in my life. All right, I know how they operate. But notice, and what I said back to him, I didn't get personal with him. I didn't give any personal attack to him. I attacked his tactics. I said that he didn't have a strategy. I said that he has not shown a plan. I said he does a lot of barking, but there's no real substance behind it. All of these things I'm questioning his actions. I wasn't questioning him as a person. I wasn't questioning his character. I wasn't saying that he was hating. I wasn't questioning any of that, even though he did it to me. I stayed a level above him, right? Now, I offered him no targets. By doing that, I offered him no targets that were on his level. Everything that I said was on my level. I didn't offer him any targets on his level. I didn't say, well, no, I'm not hating, or you're this, or you're that, or F you, or this and that. I didn't offer any of those things to him because those are his language. And understand, whenever you're going against an opponent, the worst thing you can do is play their game. All right, you want to play a different game. If you're playing Shaquille O'Neal one-on-one, you don't want to try to out-muscle him and play physical because that's his game. All right, you want to play a game that he's not used to. You always want to take your opponents out of the terrain that they're comfortable in. If you're battling against a fish, you want to fight on land. All right, you don't want to fight a fish in the water because you're probably going to lose. So don't offer a bully targets that are on their level. Offer them targets that are on a level that they're not used to being on, a level that they're not comfortable playing on, terrain that they're not comfortable standing on. They'll usually go find a different person to fight against because they don't have any tools for that level. Again, you take the fish out of water, they're not the experts that they were inside the ocean, if you understand what I'm saying. This is the way that you deal with a bully. Stay above their level. Do not play at the level that they're playing at, because often when an opponent, any opponent in any arena you face in life, when they're really strong at a certain thing, that means they're usually masking a weakness at the opposite of that thing. Always look to the opposites. I told you about that in masterclass number 1025. The opportunity is always in the opposites. Whenever someone shows a strong propensity in one area, they're usually, often, very weak in the exact opposite area. So when someone's going the low road, the best way to beat them is to go the high road. And if someone's going the high road, one of the best ways to get them off their game is to go the low road. If you are strategic enough in analyzing your opponent and assessing it, they will show you who they are if you pay attention. Let's recap today's class, which is how to never get bullied. Point number 1, be respectful while standing your ground. Bullies mess with people when they know they can get away with it and when they know they can force their victims into submission. Again, see how Drew Brees got bullied by the entire social media that day when he said he didn't want to kneel. At the same time, bullies are also primed for conflict. It is their comfort zone. That's why they create conflict when there's none there. So do not come at a bully with negative energy, but do stand your ground. Let them know that you're standing where you're standing, but at the same time, you don't have to go towards them because they will know that you're standing where you're standing, which means you're not trying to start it, but you will finish it. And usually bullies will back off when they see that you're not attacking them, but at the same time, you're holding your space. They have to respect it. Point number 2, get your weight up. What that means is, be prepared to defend yourself if you need to. What that means is, some bullies cannot be reasoned with. Some of them had to be punched in the nose to get your point across to them. And if you're afraid to punch the bully in the nose, then you might be the one who gets punched in the nose by that bully. Sometimes in life, it just comes down to that. And when I say punch in the nose, I can mean that metaphorically as well as literally. So you can inform the bully in your subtle way that, hey, I'm willing and able to defend myself. If you want to take it there, we can go there, but it's not going to be easy for you. You're probably going to want to find yourself an easier battle to fight. And usually the bully will get the message quickly and they'll go find somewhere else to go. Point number 3, stay a level above them. When people get personal with you, stay a level above them. Do not stoop to their level, because whatever level they initially come at you with, that's usually their comfort zone. People usually come at you with what they're comfortable with, so they're showing you their entire hand. All you have to do is take them out of where they're comfortable, and you've taken them completely out of their game. Don't offer them any targets on their level, but offer them an invitation that is above their level, which is probably going to confuse them, disorient them, and show them that they're probably battling against somebody they shouldn't be battling against. They will go find an easier target. That's how you deal with bullies. Work on your game. Dre, all day.